The disruption of supply systems and food inflation are affecting Africa, a continent on which the war between Russia and Ukraine has aggravated the food crisis, which today affects 346 million Africans. Going against the grain of other partners, the African Union called for the lifting of sanctions against Russia to restore the supply of agricultural inputs and cereals.
Now, the sanctions that have been imposed on Russia are going to have and are having an overarching impact. Even those countries that are either bystanders or not part of the conflict are also going to suffer from the sanctions that have been imposed against Russia.
In the middle of the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, Africa arouses the interests of both warring parties, a paradox in a context with particularly heavy consequences on the global economic and political balance. During his address to the African Union on the 20th of June 2022, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky recalled the long-standing relationship between Africa and his country in the education system in particular. The Eastern European leader announced a strengthening of political ties with the African continent with an emphasis on interparliamentary exchanges.
Для нас штучно створюють будь-які держави, які просто хочуть нас підкорити, використовувати наші ресурси і нашу землю. І наше завдання номер один зараз, нарешті, позбутися загрози голоду.
Russia is linked to several African countries, like the Central African Republic, by military agreements. However, the country is expanding its economic relations with Africa. In the first quarter of 2022, economic cooperation between Russia and Africa increased to more than 34%, fruitful relations that Russia wishes to perpetuate.
Прошел саммит Россия-Африка.
Et je tiens aussi à rappeler qu'en 2019, il y a eu un sommet Russie-Afrique qui s'est tenu ici même, à Sotchi.
Мы на новом этапе развития придаем очень большое значение нашим отношениям с африканскими странами.
On peut dire que nous sommes dans une nouvelle étape du développement de nos relations et nous apportons une attention très particulière, une importance particulière au développement de nos relations.
И должен сказать, что это имеет определенные результаты положительные.
Et cela a déjà débouché sur des résultats assez concrets.
Despite the conflict between them, Russia and Ukraine agree on the fact that Africa occupies more and more space on the world political chessboard. These two countries recognize that efforts are needed to make Africa's voice more international. It is in this dynamic that President Volodymyr Zelensky promised to hold a world conference on the reform and transformation of the United Nations in Ukraine at the end of the war.